state makes their own laws. CCE does not do it, the schools do not do it, every state is sovereign, and every state has a different definition of chiropractic and different state law. If you want to know what your state law is, and if you're congruent with that, the best thing you can do is hire a lawyer to interpret that law for you. Let them know how you practice, and ask them to interpret the law, pay them for their service, and they will let you know, okay, this is what your law states, and this is what is required of you. And it's a good investment, and that's what I think. Now, being that I don't want to practice within the scope of the law, not the scope of the law, to the extreme and extent of the law, I want to practice in one area within that scope. A very simple area. And we're going to get into that right now. In my office, I define chiropractic as the analysis and the facilitation of the correction of vertebral subluxation, because they, in and of themselves, are detrimental to the expression of innate intelligence. Chiropractic is all education toward that objective, and chiropractic is nothing else. It's very simple. It's very straightforward. It's the best definition that I've ever heard. Stevenson's definition has too many questions for me. I'm sure we are all familiar with R.W. Stevenson, who wrote volume 14, and they defined chiropractic in 1927 as chiropractic is a philosophy, science, and art of things natural, a system of adjusting the segments of the spinal column by hand only for the correction of the cause of disease. Well, there are things I don't understand. And one of the things I don't understand is what is things natural. Okay, and second, hand only, I don't think that's necessary. I think you can be a fantastic chiropractor if you use an instrument. And then third, disease, B.J. Palmer did use interchangeably with disease, and that is confusing. So that definition, for me, in regards to defining chiropractic, has some things in it. I was fortunate to be around some friends in the early 2000s, I believe, and we were all a member of a group called the FSCO, and friends like Reggie Gold and Joe Donati and Joe Strauss and Jim Healy, Mark Osteen, some brilliant minds, and I was fortunate enough to be in the room as we came up with definition that ultimately was used for the organization that we were in, and we use today with the Chiropractic Trust. This is what I use in my office. Now, we have a definition. That definition gives me purpose. I don't want to do everything. I want to do one thing. And that's find vertebral subluxations and help the body correct them. What is a vertebral subluxation? Well, I'm going to go with Stevenson's on this one. I love the definition in Stevenson's, that a vertebral subluxation is a condition of a vertebra which is lost off of juxtaposition with the one above, the one below, or both, to an extent less than a dislocation, which occludes the foramen, impinges nerves, and interferes with the transmission of mental impulse. Hugely ahead of its time. The whole book actually is ahead of its time. So now we look at vertebral subluxations, a very definite entity that has four components. There's a misalignment of a vertebrae, there's an occlusion of a foramen, there's some form of nerve interference, and there's decreased mental impulse. Those are the 4 points for vertebral subluxation. This is the entity that I work with. The only entity that I work with as a chiropractor. Why? Because vertebral subluxations are unbelievably bad. And the correction is unbelievably good. Let me ask you all a question. Is a vertebral subluxation the only thing that can go wrong within the body?